Please note, for maximum picture quality, it may be necessary to adjust the tracking control on your VCR.
What do you think's more fun for kids than paying at a toll booth and going to a cartoon world made of puns and maths to just learn how much you like education and going to school? What a great adventure. This is Adjust Your Tracking, a podcast where we are on an adventure to watch a century of cinema decade by decade, year by year, and I'm one half of your host, Liam Delaney.
And I'm Oliver Jones.
Hey, hello Oliver, how are you doing?
Hello Liam, I'm doing well, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. Well, actually I'm not, I'm hungover today. But
are you
that
hungover?
doesn't matter.
You drank on a school night.
Oh, I did. I drank quite a lot on a school night. It was not a good idea.
I actually
don't know how
can't.
it happened.
I can't remember the last time I was hungover, and I think the last time I was hungover, I was with you. So
I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what this accusation is.
the last time I got drunk was actually your birthday, and I woke up the next day having spent £200 on eBay on a fucking Lego Batmobile, and I was like, oh god. And I think that was our friend Pratesh egging me on while we were sitting there watching the NFL.
Oh yeah, right. Super Bowl
Yeah.
fun. Yeah. Oh god, I forgot you bought that. How is the Lego Batman? Being what deal?
It's collecting
Batman-mobile.
dust right now, I think.
Oh good. How long did it take you to build it?
Well, like, because I bought it pre-owned, so it came with the instructions, but like Lego comes in bags, so if you open the instructions, it says, okay, this part is bag 1, this is part is bag 2. Mine was just all dumped in the box. So, but luckily it was when I had my ear operation, so I just sat there categorizing all the all the parts. I had nothing, I had no work on. I wasn't allowed to leave the house, so this was before quarantine. And then as soon as they went, you're allowed to go out now, it was quarantine, so gotta go back in the house. Fuck's sake.
Who knew you were just practicing
I know.
the rest of eternity?
Well, I'm an animator anyway, so I've been practicing social distancing for like, I don't know,
It's true.
15
It's
years
true.
now.
Yeah. I'm used to being locked in a dark room and not talking to anyone. Sorry, I got distracted by breaking news on my phone.
Oh, what's the breaking news?
It's not interesting. It just said My Gentle Giant. It was the breaking news, and I was
Is
like,
it a
what's
sequel to the Billy Crystal?
Billy Crystal, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, oh my god, is a giant died or something? And it's not. It's about that police officer that was shot, so it's not fun at all.
Oh. Wasn't, going back to Billy Crystal, wasn't that giant, I think, wasn't he in, was he the giant in Big Fish? Or am I
Yeah, he
making
was,
that-
wasn't he?
Yeah,
What's his name again? What is his damn name?
I don't know.
I do know it. He's
The
in loads of
BFG.
stuff. It's not Albert Finney. It's not Marion Cotillard. Is Marion Cotillard in that?
I was putting Andre the Giant in, that's not it. What the fuck's
It's
the
definitely
film
not
called?
Andre.
What's
What
the
is his
film
name?
called? My Favourite Giant? No, that's not a film.
Billy Crystal's Giant. That's what I'm googling.
What's it called?
Billy Crystal Giant movie. My Giant.
My Giant.
My Giant. Oh my god. Starring. I can't believe I can't find his name. Why is he not in the credits? George Jorge? Is that how you pronounce
I'm
it?
loving the poster though. Have you seen the poster?
That is a fantastic
And
poster.
he's like holding him up like a ventriloquist puppet.
Has anyone seen this film?
Billy Crystal's an odd one. Like, I really like Billy Crystal, but he's been in a few like good films, and then a lot of films that I have never
Absolute-
seen or would
yeah.
never care to see.
I don't know if I like When Harry Met Sally, he's really good in it. I don't think you can argue with that.
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride, yeah, of course. I think
Throw
I've said
Mama from the
before-
Train.
Oh god, I haven't seen that in so long. I mean, everyone's favourite Father's Day, of course.
Do you know what? I hate. Do you remember they like to do promotion for that? They like cameoed in an episode of Friends,
Yes.
and it's the most painful cameo, and it's
You know they were
so
just on
unfunny.
set, just going, just let them riff, go for it, Robin, go for it, Billy, just be really funny. We won't
Robin's
write
doing
anything
his
for you.
like his Jewish mom voice, like that he does in Mrs. Doubtfire. And it's
Yes,
just,
he's
like,
one of his voices. Yeah.
it's like,
Does he do gay as well? Maybe.
Probably. I think he's a gay Jewish.
Yeah,
person.
that's an often one.
I don't know. I do love Robin Williams though, and I do.
Yeah,
miss
I
him.
do love Robin Williams. It's just there's no reason we can't joke about the fact that some of his comedy really missed the mark often.
Yeah, yes. Well, a lot of 80s and 90s comedy was like that, wasn't it? Like Eddie Murphy and stuff like that. It was all a bit.
It's not even that.
So-
It's just his 90s. Robin's 90s output was just got weirder and weirder and weirder, really. Until,
Yeah, his films got more childish.
Yeah. He just got more childish and more like less fun to watch or anything like that. And all the way down to RV, which I don't know if, which is just an atrocious film.
That reminds me of just working in the video shop because it was one of those films we had to put on, like you're told to put on to advertise it so people would rent it.
Oh
So,
God, really?
I've never properly watched it, but I could probably tell you everything that happens in it just because it was on in the background all the time. But
It's a proper mum film, RV.
yeah,
Like just whatever's at the video store, you can just grab. I can't believe that was 2006. I guess video
Yeah,
stores
something
did
like
still exist. When did you stop working at the video store?
oh god, 2010.
Oh wow.
I worked there for way too long. It was just such an easy job. Just sat there and ate pick and mix all day.
Oh,
But
God.
it was a nuisance when the kids came in. Like as soon as it was school run and the kids came in, and they were just stealing shit left, right, and centre. I mean, I was stealing shit from there left, right, and centre as well. But it was
Yeah,
my
but
shit
you had
to
to
steal.
be there. 2010. Oh God. I just think video stores are dying much more before that, but yes, they
Well, I remember I went to see Inception on the day that my last shift, so that'll date it. There you
did.
go.
Okay, yeah. That is.
So
You went
what,
to go celebrate by watching Inception.
yeah. And I still haven't seen his new film yet. I still haven't seen Tenet yet.
No, I haven't seen Tenet. I was going to ask you actually if you'd gone and watched it, but no. I was tempted and I was thinking about it, and now that all this kind of the COVID cases have just gone mad
Rocked
again,
it up, yeah.
I'm just not. No, I don't want to.
I'm wondering if they're going to kind of hold on to it in cinemas as long as they can, or if they'll just quickly release it on.
I don't
home
know. I think
media or
it's
whatever.
ever going to not showing at cinema. I think they're just going to keep it on the cinema
It's
now.
gonna be like
because
Gone with the
nothing
Wind.
else is going on. Yeah, it will be. For the whole of 2020 and 2021 was just Tenet was playing.
Well, I don't even think Wonder Woman will come out in December now.
No, I don't think it will come out in December
That
at
won't
all.
happen.
No. December's going to be very bad, I think.
Yeah.
And what's the other one that Bond as well was meant to come out? So
That's
been pushed.
November. Yeah, they're still adamant about that, but again,
I
don't know.
don't see it at all. The Oscars are going to be so weird this year.
yeah.
They're really going to be such an odd
What's
year
the number
for-
one film? Sonic the Hedgehog.
I don't know. Bad Boys 4, whatever it was. Bad Boys 3, whatever.
I
That
have
film wasn't good. I watched
Zero
that.
interest in watching that.
It was very boring. Very boring.
I heard that Will Smith's son is the villain in it.
Yes, spoilers. Yeah. Spoilers. I will spoil something about Bad Boys. So sorry for anyone who doesn't want to hear Bad Boys 3 spoilers. But they kill Will Smith at like the beginning of the film.
Wow.
And then he lives. But then it's like literally
Hang on, wait,
we-
what?
like-
Hang on, what do you mean they kill him and then he lives?
well, he dies, but they bring him back to life. Not through
Okay.
fancy elements, but like, like they
Resuscitation.
resuscitation. Yeah, he gets shot by by his son. I think it
Yeah.
is.
It should have been younger Will Smith, and they could have tied it into
Yes, should have been a sequel.
to your favourite Gemini man.
My favorite Gemini Man. I loved Gemini Man. I don't know why everyone hated that. I had such a good time with it.
I need to watch it.
But yeah. But Will Smith dies like I don't know, 30 minutes into the film probably. It might be a little less than that. But it's too long in the film. It's too long in the intro to like do this big change.
It should have
And
been
then-
the first 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, because then they do like 6 months later or a year later. They do like a year gap in the middle of the film, which is just really fucking weird. Just so Will Smith can actually not be dead, to can actually be like walking and stuff. So it's like, what the fuck did you do this like thing that really didn't make much of an impact at all?
They kind of did that in the new Fantastic Four film, where like
Oh god, yeah, that's true.
yeah, just kind of I don't know, like like an hour into a 2-hour film, they went 6 months later. Or
6
a
months
year
later. Yeah, I think it's such a weird thing to do in the middle of a film. And it has to be at the start if you're going to do that. You can't just do it in the
Or
middle,
like
'cause-
at the epilogue, just at the very end or something.
Totally,
like
yeah. But I didn't like that at all, and that really put me off the whole film because it then felt like kind of I'd been watching flashbacks for like half the film, which always annoys me.
Did you miss the lack of Michael Bay in the film, or did you not notice the difference? Or
I don't think you notice the difference too much. The two guys directing it do a good enough job.
is
I
it
don't
like
know,
a duo?
I don't know. It's just very. I don't know. It was very weird watching Bad Boys 3 in the middle of like police riots. Well, the Black Lives Matter riots and stuff like that. When they're such like shitty cops, like they absolutely are just like. Doesn't the rules don't matter to us, and we'll shoot anyone without asking questions and like break every kind of law and stuff like that. And they're meant to be the heroes, and you kind of like in the middle of like all this kind of police brutality stuff. I was watching it going, I don't know if this is playing well anymore. This kind of attitude and the way we kind of glorify cops like this in films. I don't think that's a good thing. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but it certainly was in my head when I was watching the film constantly. Like,
So, have you watched any of the films this week?
I watched Enola Holmes.
I have zero interest in this, so sell it to me.
It was really fun. I really enjoyed it quite a lot. I've never read the books at all, but I love a good kind of Victorian
Was Enola
Sherlock
Holmes in the original books or anything, or not? Or is that a made-up character? I have no idea.
I don't know that.
I know he's got a brother, Mycroft or whatever.
Yeah, Mycroft's
he
in
was
the
in the
book.
books.
Except they never portray Mycroft correctly in any media whatsoever. They always get Mycroft wrong when they do him in films. Because Mycroft in the book is a big fat guy, and he's meant to be more intelligent than Sherlock. But they always play him as like a really thin kind of dumb guy. Is what they always kind of portray Mycroft as.
Well, who plays him in the Robert Downey Jr. ones? Isn't it?
God, I don't know.
Fry? Is it Stephen Fry?
Oh, is it? I can't remember those films. So
I'm pretty sure.
Stephen Fry's good casting for Mycroft, actually. If that is him.
What's the other one called? I don't know. Sherlock Holmes 2. I don't know.
It's I think Shadows, isn't it? Dark of Shadows, or
Caroline fell asleep when we went to see that at the cinema. That was her review of the film.
I don't blame her. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, it's Stephen Fry.
It is Stephen Fry. That's good casting for Mycroft, actually. I do like that.
So it was good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had a really good time with it. Really fun. Like,
So
you can tell that it was a film Netflix bought, and it wasn't a film that they produced.
Oh, really?
Like, it was just it was cinema quality kind of thing, which is a weird thing to say, but you know what I mean. And
well, that's good.
And it was, I just really I would watch more Enola Holmes films, like more cases or whatever.
So I'm guessing they like what do you call like teen fiction? What's it called? Like
young adult.
Yeah, is it like that kind of thing?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. She does a lot of she does a lot of talking to the screen, like breaking the fourth wall all the time.
No. Okay. Like Adrian Mole.
Yes, like Adrian Mole, yeah. But it worked, actually, for me. It has, and I thought Bonham Carter was really good in it, and I thought Henry Cavill was a really good Sherlock as well. So
Really? Okay. Who plays Mycroft in that one?
Oh, it's that guy, what's his name again?
Just that guy.
Alex Garcia, is it? No. Sam Claflin. Sam Claflin.
No idea.
He's in, like, Hunger Games and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But... He was alright, Mycroft, I guess. He was
like
good.
I was saying to you, like I saw the like promotional material for it, and like she looks so. I don't want to say she looks older now, but she looks like an adult Millie Bobby Brown. So I don't know how they're going to do like Stranger Things series 4 or whatever. Now they're all going to look like adults.
Well, she's only 16, isn't
yeah, but she looks quite grown up.
Yeah, but I guess it's just how you style people. I guess
so.
I guess that's make it look.
I still find it weird how like old some kids look. Like the way that I don't know. I'm going on a weird tangent now. Kids.
I've only seen season 1 of Stranger Things, so I don't.
You're not missing out. It's the best one, I think. Like Don't get me wrong, I like a bit of nostalgia now and again, but I don't like it when it's just so forced, and it's just I don't know.
I get you.
Yeah.
I think I saw the first episode of season 2, and they were all dressed as Ghostbusters or something at the beginning of it.
I mean, you'd think for me that would be my bread and butter.
Yeah.
I found it a bit grating.
I found it a little grating too.
But
I don't really know why.
I think they would be better if they just condensed those down into films. I really would. If they were just like 2 hour, an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes films. I don't know. They'd be more interesting, I think.
That's not how like people make money anymore, is it though?
Yeah, I know.
You need to have those series on Netflix and whatever. And they cancelled bloody Thingy Bob. Oh, my brain is dead today. This is going to be useless. They think it's Dark Crystal, didn't they?
I did that. That's a shame because that was really well done.
It was, and I can't believe it only got one season, and that's it.
I mean, we're lucky that we got that one season, to be honest. But
it's true, but the amount of crap they push through to second seasons and stuff. It was
going back to the last episode with Paul. Like he was talking about how Netflix, or was you saying? I don't know. Either you or Paul were saying that they're not interested, like past 2 or 3 series, because once there's the drop off, they're not bothered and they don't really care.
Yeah, the model basically just shows such a drop off that they don't care. Yeah, it's done its job by that point. It's got the subscriptions. That's all they care about.
You probably wouldn't have got past series 2 anyway had it continued.
True. But it would have been nice. I always just think with these shows, at least with a film, you get the chance to kind of do your story. With these shows, I think you get sold the idea that you can stretch your story out to how many seasons you want, basically, and it's not happening. You know.
Well, that's the danger, though, isn't it? Unless you're guaranteed those 2-3 seasons so you can tell your story, then you should really aim to kind of maybe loosely set stuff up so it doesn't really matter if they're not paid off, but they could be bigger later on, or just make sure you wrap up a story at the end of. I think you should always aim to do that because that's the safest bet. Otherwise, you just.
Dan Harmon had a rant that used to go on quite a lot on his old podcast, was about the idea that he's fed up of people setting their shows before the point they want to get to in the show. So it's like you have like 2 seasons of setup for the point of where they actually should have just started the show at, but they no, we can't show this, we can't start there, we have to show how you get there first, and actually then there's a twist, and it was there's actually it's not actually this type of story, it's actually this story. It's like, just start with this story. Don't do all the setup stuff.
If I remember, the first episode of Rick and Morty is just like, you're in this world and this is how it is.
This is how it is. And community's like that. He doesn't mess around. Like, he's a good writer. So.
Well, it's like, I remember when The Dark Knight came out and everyone was like going, oh, they should have set up Harvey Dent and then he turns at the very end and then in the third one he's the main villain. I'm like, no, because... what if that film never came to be? Do you know what I mean? Like, just tell the story you want to tell in that one film. Like, don't think about beyond that.
I was so happy that Two-Face was in that film because that was a reveal, wasn't it? That wasn't in any of the marketing, and I didn't know they were going to do it at all. And I was so happy when they actually just did it instead of like years of just I hate this cameoing people in films, in comic book films. Just this like, oh, we need a character here. Go into the big dictionary of Marvel characters and pull out a superhero and just use that real name for this character.
Well, like, the big argument, everyone would be like, oh, he wasn't Two-Face until the end of the film. It's like, what are you watching the film? Like, he was Two-Face the whole time. And then and then when they did the Green Lantern, like, the very end, like, the end credits, they tease, oh, God, what's his name? Old pink face.
Sinestro.
Sinestro, yeah.
Old pink face. Here he is.
Yeah, like, he's like, I guess he's the number one villain of Green Lantern, isn't he?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, sure.
And like, I mean, it was cool that they have him as the mentor in the film. Well, it wasn't a cool film. I'm not going to go there, but
I've actually never seen Green Lantern. I've never watched it.
Surprise! Well, I'm not surprised because you're such a big Green Lantern fan that I think it would probably your soul would die a little bit if you saw that.
One of the big things for me is because I don't care about Hal Jordan Green Lantern. I really liked Kyle Rayner. So when they're not telling Kyle stories, I'm just like, Green Lantern's boring.
Well, I prefer Guy Gardner as well. At least he's interesting.
Yeah, Guy Gardner's much more interesting. Even Jon Stewart's much more interesting. Kyle Jordan's the worst one out of all of them.
Just boring.
Yeah, he's just a really boring guy. He's just like, I'm a good pilot. and I'm a good white man. Like, that's basically just his plot. Like, you know, oh, I don't care about you. I don't care about boring pilot man. I hate people, like, sometimes the characters can be too good at stuff. Like, just, and that's
No, you got to
boring.
have flaws. You can't, you know, like even Superman has flaws.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, he does.
you know.
Yeah, he has loads of flaws. That's what makes him a great character.
Yeah,
That's-
but
Talking of Superman, because like Henry Cavill really made me laugh on screen as Sherlock because he's such a huge person. He's such a huge giant of a man.
well, I've told
And to
you, I
see-
bumped into him into his pectoral
And
muscles.
To see him on screen, he's just like so wide in that suit. It's
Yeah,
just...
he's kind of got that old. That's why I think he's a great Superman, because he's got that. He's like proper barrel chested. He's like,
Yeah, he is. Have you seen Fallout yet? You haven't, have you?
no. Like I said to you, like it's with the Fast and Furious films, like the Mission Impossibles are up there. Like I've seen the first one and the
Yeah,
second
the
one. The
first
second one I
one's
hated, and then after that I couldn't be bothered.
The second
So-
one's kind of shit. I kind of
so-
like it with shit. But yeah, I absolutely love the Mission Impossible films.
I
But
hate
he's...
long-haired Tom Cruise.
Oh god, you gotta love his long hair.
You know
That's
he
what they
grows
basically
his-
sold the film on. That
Well, he-
haircut.
Apparently, in between every film he makes, he grows his hair long because he never knows. He never knows like what his next film role is going to call for. If it's going to call for long hair or short hair.
It's gonna call for Tom Cruise, mate. We know. He's always looking stylish in the Mission Impossible films. Whoever dresses him, I think, is really good. But like, yeah, I was gonna say about Henry Cavill because he's in Fallout, and it's really funny that on screen with Tom Cruise, they let Tom Cruise be small because you can't shoot it any other way. Like, and normally Tom Cruise doesn't let himself ever be shown as small on screen to anyone, but it's fucking Henry Cavill, and the guy's massive. And
Yeah.
if we see it, there's a bathroom fight scene that even if you just watch the bathroom fight scene, I recommend it because he's just so domineering on camera that I love watching Henry Cavill on camera. It's like I think he just really does have presence to him. I'm not totally sure about his Superman, but I think he looks like Superman.
I don't think it's his fault.
No,
You know,
I mean, I guess we'll talk about this next week actually, but like, Henry Cavill's a bit of a I've never seen him do a role where he's really like, I don't know, lovely and charismatic and smiley.
Right, okay,
and-
yeah.
And I think that he brings that to Superman, even though the script definitely brings it. He comes across as quite of a bit of a prick on screen. And I'm not sure if that's the energy Superman should have, really. But
What do you mean he comes across as a prick in those Superman
Just-
films, or just in films in general?
I think films in general, I think he just has that air about him. I don't think Henry Cavill is. I just think he has this air of like smugness or something about him on screen.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And which works for like Sherlock, you know, and it works for like The Witcher. Massively works for The Witcher, I think. But I don't think it. I don't know. I don't think it works for Superman so much, even though he really looks like Superman.
I was going to say, what have I haven't really watched much recently. I've been listening to a lot of records because last week was a good record day. Well, last Friday was a good record day. You got the new Deftones album,
Oh,
which was pretty damn
Was it good?
awesome. Yeah, it's great. It's kind of like all the best parts of Deftones just crammed together in one album. And instead of having
Cool.
like, you know, they'd normally have like, this is our electric song, you know, electronica song. This is our chilled out song. This is our
Yeah, okay.
really heavy song.
yeah.
It's kind of every song has like a bit of
Oh, okay.
everything in it. And it's just, for me, it's awesome. And then there's another band released an album called the band's called Idols,
Okay.
and their new album's wicked. And they're like a British kind of punk band, but
Cool.
they're kind of, they've got kind of a different edge to them. They've kind of got a bit more of a modern, like, I'm trying to think. There's a band called Pigs.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
like
remember
that.
that.
And a bit like Sleaford Mods in there as well and stuff like that. And basically, they're very kind of about change. So like very current in topics at the moment. So, you know, they talk about like toxic masculinity and kind of, you know, racism and stuff like that. And it's really good. It's just like, it's an album that I hope gets outdated in the best possible way.
Okay.
Because it's, because, you know, what they sing about, it's really important that we kind of change that. And
Yeah.
but I hope that we do, so this album becomes outdated.
Sure. I'll check it out definitely. Actually,
But yeah, really good.
I've been listening to the new Bright Eyes tons, which
Is it good?
I really love. Yeah, I really, really love it, actually. I've missed them. I've missed them doing new music. Even though Connor Oberst has never stopped making music, but just I've missed Bright Eyes.
Apparently, Sufjan Stevens has released a new record as well.
He has. It popped up in my Apple Music. I haven't listened to that, actually. But
I'm pretty sure the Eels have got one on the horizon.
Really? He always releases albums.
No, he hasn't released one in about 4 years. I don't know. He'll have like a good long span of no records, and then within the space of a year, he'll release like.
Just start pushing them all.
Here's 5.
Yeah, yeah. Here's my double album, and there's this, and yeah.
I'd like because I love the Eels, but I'd rather he curated them. So like, just cherry pick your best ones.
Sure. He's just yeah. Like I know what you mean. Some of his albums are like that, really.
Yeah.
Like there's quite a lot of just filler's a bit rude, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, like is that
I
it?
have
Then?
watched,
You haven't
no, I
watched
have
anything?
watched. I watched a film. I watched The Invisible Man.
Ooh. Oh, did you? I really like that. The new one.
Yeah, I think it was just a really solid kind of tense horror film.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think it fell apart a bit for me towards the end. I thought the ending was a bit lame.
Sure.
But like there was a scene in the hospital where, like, spoilers, like her character gets sanctioned.
Yes.
And
yes.
like the Invisible Man's in there with her basically. And like he hasn't drank a potion or had like been zapped by lightning or whatever. He's just got like a suit with like hundreds and thousands of cameras on. And,
when does the Invisible Man get zapped by lightning?
I can't remember what happened to him. Like, what is it?
I think it's just potion, isn't it?
Is it? Yeah, because was Hollow Man meant to be Invisible Man? Or was Hollow Man meant to be his own thing?
No, Hollow Man's got the same name as the Invisible Man.
Why'd they call it Hollow Man then?
Because it's cool. I don't know. Because
we hired that out for your birthday one year. I remember that's what we did.
That film's very rapey. Talking of rapey films. Ugh.
Yeah, but he's a villain in that film, though. Like, well, I mean, he's a villain in all of them, but like, well, actually, he wasn't in the John Carpenter one.
Oh God, Memoirs of Invisible Man.
Yeah,
I used to watch that film a lot.
That's a good film.
Lot.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, with Chevy Chase as the Invisible Man.
And that was such a weird casting.
That's such a bizarre casting, and it wasn't funny at all, was it? It's an absolute just.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
God, I forgot about that film. Yeah, like the Invisible Man is meant to be a villain. Yeah, he's always been a villain.
And I guess he's a hero in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, isn't he?
Not in the book.
Is he not in the book? I can't remember.
No, spoilers and for the book, but he is a rapist in the book, and
is he?
And Hyde rapes him to death in the book. That's what
Hyde rapes him.
Man. Yeah, as in Jekyll and Hyde.
I guess that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like that book doesn't mess around.
So that wasn't in the feature film with Sean
No,
Connery.
that wasn't in the Connery classic.
So bad that it caused Connery to quit acting.
Yes.
But back to the new Invisible Man. Yeah, just the scene in the hospital where like she's trying to escape and he's like killing all the guards and stuff. I thought it was really well done. Like,
yes.
And especially for like a low budget film, it looked great.
Yeah, I think I said it to you originally when I watched it. It's one of the best thrillers I've seen in years. Like actual thriller.
Well, I was doing that. You know when your legs just bounce up and down.
Yeah.
I was doing that like tense.
Just that tense nervousness of it all. Yeah, absolutely.
And the guy who plays like her friend, the cop, he's been cast as Hawkman, hasn't he?
Oh yes, he has recently. Yeah, he'll be a good Hawkman.
Yeah,
talking of
definitely.
One archaeologist to another archaeologist. It'll be a good Hawkman if they go with the Carter Hawkman. Anyway, I don't know if they'll go with. There's a lot of Hawkman's complicated. He's one of those characters we best not think about, really. Yeah, we should probably introduce the show. like 40 minutes in or something. Yeah, we finished our 1970s series, the main films, and we're just going to do a couple of wrap-ups to the series like we always do. And we figured we always kind of try and look at like influencers and things like that. And there's a huge influencer in the world of animation who that has a film come out in the 70s, his only feature film. Which is Chuck Jones. He released a film this year called The Phantom Tollbooth.
Follow Butch Patrick on a fantastic trip through the Phantom Tollbooth, where nothing is real but your imagination. to Dictionopolis, where words are weird.
Words in a word are fantastic. You can hint them, you can say them, you can print them, you can pray them, emphasize them, and despise them.
Digitopolis, where figures are freaky.
Numbers can be added to, subtracted from, divided into, multiplied by, crossed out, and erased.
Climb the mountains of ignorance, where dreams become nightmares.
We have nothing to worry about.
And the monsters are magnificent.
It's the gelatinous giant.
Pass through the Phantom Tollbooth and into the magic world of your mind. Rated G.
So, yeah, Chuck Jones. So, honestly, I'm going to give him to you. Really,
God,
tell me about Chuck Jones. Who is he?
Well, Chuck Jones was born in 1912. I mean, he's just like one of the. I wouldn't say he's the godfather of animation, but he's one of the most famous animators, especially looking at the classic Warner Brothers, Looney Tunes, Merrie Melodies kind of era of films. Like his style is all over those. And later on, I mean, we'll talk about his career, but later on he moved on to he kind of got fired from Warner Brothers, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because as far as I can tell what it was, because when he was at Warner Bros, he invented, like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner, Pepe Le Pew, Porky Pig, just, all those kind of characters. And he gets fired from Warner Bros, I think, for moonlighting.
Yes.
So I think he must have been working elsewhere at the same time as Warner Bros, and they cancelled his contract, which... He then moved on to
MGM, I think.
MGM, yeah. And MGM, basically all his cohorts then left Warner Bros to come onto MGM because they just wanted to work with him.
Well,
so
because
and then not good for Warner Bros.
Well, I think a lot of animators at the time, they liked his ethos and how he worked, because I think he helped create the union, especially at Warner Brothers. So animators were treated fairly. They kind of got sick pay. They kind of got insurance, health insurance and all that kind of stuff. Although he didn't know, because of his position, he wasn't entitled to that, which is really
that's good of him. Yeah, that's good of him.
But I think he was, when he started at Warner Brothers, I think he was put under Tex Avery. Was the big shot of animation at the time, and I think he kind of worked under Tex Avery. And then there was another famous animator that he kind of, at the same time, he was with what's his name?
It's not Bob Clampett, is it?
Bob Clampett, yeah. And they had kind of not a rivalry, but a lot of people weren't fond of Bob Clampett.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he was a bit of a showboat, and he took credit for people's ideas and stuff. And I think, like I just said, so like I said about Chuck Jones, he was all about fairness, and because obviously he helped start the union, so he didn't like that. And I think it's very telling when he helped compile a Roadrunner feature film, which was compiled of loads of shorts. Yes, I think he refused to use any of Bob Clampett's work.
Really? God. Yeah, I can't remember that Roadrunner film did. Yeah, it's the only other thing that you can kind of call a feature film from him, but it's not really a feature film.
So I'm not sure if that has reworked segments. So they basically reanimated segments and stuff like that. There was definitely, There was I know they did that with the Tom and Jerry that he worked on. So
yeah,
because I think they wanted to kind of, a lot of the old Tom and Jerry had a lot of racism in there, didn't they? The woman, the maid or whatever, that was kind of always chasing them around. So they changed it to a white woman. So they reanimated all that kind of stuff. And
I love the fact that instead of just not characterizing her as the way that stereotype, they just made her white rather than just not doing it with a black woman.
Yeah, they could have done it as a black woman, just not.
But made it racist. Too difficult.
I have a feeling as well, going back to the episode I did with James, where I talked about Ray Harryhausen working under Frank Capra.
Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Chuck Jones, along with Dr. Zeus, they worked with Frank Capra as well on like educational army cartoons and like, you know, how to use certain weapons and stuff like that. So it's quite funny that how the worlds of Ray Harryhausen and Chuck Jones like cross over in that
yeah, absolutely. I think because talking about Tom and Jerry, I find that really interesting as well, because you know why they brought him on to do Tom and Jerry. Do you know kind of the history of Tom and Jerry with that? I might be getting this a little bit wrong, but I think it's right because I know it from Simpsons, and that's where all my knowledge comes from.
Okay.
But if you remember the episode of Simpsons where they lose Itchy and Scratchy and they get a cartoon called Worker and Parasite, it's a cat and a mouse, and they're drawn as like triangles, and they just kind of bounce up in the air with like 3 kind of animation frames going.
Yeah.
And that's a joke on the fact that during this time period before Chuck Jones took over Tom and Jerry,
Tom Jones,
MGM had given Tom and Jerry to a Czech animation house.
okay.
And they were which obviously was Soviet at the time. So like they had this Soviet like Tom and Jerry coming out for a number of years that had really crashed Tom and Jerry's popularity.
Okay.
And that's why they brought him back on to kind of revolutionize it again and make it popular again, which I guess he did because we all know Tom and Jerry still.
Well, I guess as well, it was working at MGM is how he kind of got the role of producing the film that we're talking about, Phantom Tollbooth, because that's an MGM film as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So basically what kind of happened is after he did the Tom and Jerry films, he worked on because he did the Dr. Seuss films, so he did like Horton Hears a Who and
Obviously
Grinch
the
Stole
Grinch.
Christmas.
Do you know what? I've never seen the Grinch one.
Haven't you?
No.
God, we could watch it for the 60s.
We could do, yeah. Or we could watch it for Christmas,
Yeah, so like Grinch was like 66, and Horton Hears a Who was 70, but in 1965 he did the animation The Dot on the Line, which
it's the same writer, isn't it?
Yeah, which is exactly the same writer, Norton Juster. And he obviously won the only Academy Award he ever won was for The Dot on the Line.
I think he was nominated for other ones for like several of his.
I think he was nominated for 8 or something like that.
Yeah, for like his his Merrie Melody Looney Tunes shorts. And I think he got an honorary one as well.
He did. In 1995 they gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the ones they're kind of like, we should have given you this years ago. I don't know why why we haven't got better than this.
But I tell you what though, it's amazing how like he was working up until like 2 years before his death, I think.
God, really?
And I think because I've got a massive Looney Tunes box set that's kind of like comprised of like 10 not 10 discs. It's kind of got like 40 discs in it or something.
God.
But I think it's got some of his unfinished work that they finished like several years later and like in the 2000s.
Oh, wow.
They're on there as well, yeah.
I never, like, it's really silly of me, but I never really realised they still made Looney Tunes stuff. Or
they kind of do. I mean, like, a lot of it went online, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I've, obviously got Space Jam 2 coming out this year, or supposed to be this year or next year or something. But yeah, he also worked on like Gremlins 2, the new batch.
He did, he did.
Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny sequence in that. Like he worked on Stay Tuned as well.
Oh God, did he? And
he did that great little animated intro to Mrs. Doubtfire, where Robin Williams is voicing the bird.
Oh, of course, that's him. Yeah, of course it is. You can tell that's Chuck.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Like that kind of the way they draws eyelids and stuff like that is always the same. Oh, that's really cool.
But anyway, going back to Dot on the Line.
Oh yeah, Dot on the Line, yeah, which is I mean, you've seen Dot on the Line, haven't you?
Oh yeah, it's classic.
I never, well, I must have seen it before, but I didn't remember it, so I did actually watch it recently. And it's literally is just a film about like an animation with a dot and a line in it, like, and the line fancies a dot. And the dot rather hang out with the kind of squiggly line instead.
Yeah.
so and the squiggly line's all like groovy and 60s and stuff like that and hippie, and the line's it's boring. And the line slowly learns how to manipulate himself and make interesting geometry and shapes, and it's bizarre. It's very bizarre.
There's definitely some of that in the film as well that we're going to talk about, like that kind of stuff going on.
I get the feeling that the author Norton Juster is the kind of like writer who would hate the fact that I do like an arts degree or something.
Yeah.
Like, he's like unless you're doing engineering, you're not like a real person at all.
Yeah, he's
I get that kind of expression from him.
Yeah, 100%.
But the Dot on the Line is inventive as hell for an animation. It really does. It is really remarkable, actually.
I don't know how it would work as a book. Like, honestly,
No,
like,
I do not. No.
But what's crazy is that obviously that film wins an Oscar, but he hated Phantom Tollbooth.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, which I can't imagine it's that much different to the book. But I know, like with Dot on the Line, I know like it's people like Genndy Tartakovsky. I think he's always said that kind of animation is stuff that's always inspired him.
Well, you can tell like the way he simplifies his subjects sometimes, and like how minimalistic sometimes that goes. And
yeah, and he almost strives for that minimalism in his cartoons now and again, just to get over the smallest point possible. And I think you can really tell that.
Apparently, they've been trying to remake the Phantom Tollbooth up until fairly recently.
I don't know why.
So here we go. It says Juster had no input into the adaptation and has expressed his hatred for the film in an interview. It was a film I never liked. I don't think they did a good job on it. It's been around for a long time, and it was well reviewed, which also made me angry. Because it was, I think it was meant to come out in 1968, but it.
I was gonna say there's a little controversy about like we are covering this for a 70s film, but it did get released in the 70s, 1970, but it was meant to be released around 68, I think, and I think the title card says 68 as well.
Does it?
I think I noticed that, but you know, like whatever.
Well, I guess that's just the production date or something. I guess.
Maybe, maybe. But it's the Phantom Tollbooth is weird. Like it's, and I find there's. I won't put it all on the 70s or 60s, but there is a point in animation where I think things get a lot more. There's some sort of modernization in the kind of presentation of cartoons, I think, at some point.
Well, I mean, let's just say the animation in it is fantastic. It is, you know, you can't fault the animation in it. But like as you say, the presentation of it is, it's kind of dated. I think. It really
felt like the film was talking down to me all the time, and that's not very appealing. I think as a child, like you don't want to feel like your kind of fun cartoons are like telling you off. Really?
Yeah, I don't know how it would appeal to kids. This film personally, like it's like it's what's the kind of word? What's like all those kind of like rhymes and you know all the clever puns with words and it's a little goes a long way for me with that.
Yes.
And so like you know this film's very similar to like Labyrinth, which you know and which has a bit of it in with like you know the knockers and stuff like that who kind of do the riddles and stuff, but it's not the whole way through the film. It's not
it's not constant.
And like much like Labyrinth, you kind of have Hoggle who comes along on the adventure who's a bit of a grumpy kind of weird kind of, and then in this you have the humbug and I guess it's very similar to like Wizard of Oz as well.
I was going to say that in Japanese animation, these things are called isaki, I think you pronounce it, which are big business in anime now and manga, and that's the idea. It's accidental travel, is the genre.
Okay.
So it's like a normal person being transported to, or you know, reborn or trapped in a parallel universe or like a fantasy world.
Well, a lot of Miyazaki's work, I guess, is like that.
I was going to say, Spirited Away is totally that. Like.
But that doesn't talk down to kids, though. I don't think.
No. The difference between the way this tries to like tell a child about what's important and what they should worry about, and the way that Miyazaki does the similar sort of messages is such a different presentation. Yeah. It's like light years differently. Like, and Miyazaki knows how to get to a kid's level and actually talk to them. And this is absolutely feels like your teacher yelling at you because you're just bored. And
well,
I feel like.
I do a lot of videos for this nursery nurse place around Sutton and Birmingham, and their ethos is that you have no plastic toys and everything is kind of like a found object, because it's all about kids kind of picking up a cardboard tube, and that cardboard tube can be anything, whereas opposed to like having a plastic car park that's only got one use. Do you know what I mean? It's like a limited. It's like a closed resource. But like their thing is that whenever they talk to a child, they won't stand up and talk to the child. They will either always come down to their eye level. And I think that's kind of, this film is the equivalent of standing above them and talking to them. Whereas Miyazaki is like, I'll come down to you and I'll talk to you on your level.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Do you know what I mean?
like Miyazaki's ethos with just, because he thinks films are awful for kids, but he thinks that
you should only watch one film a year and it should be mine.
Yeah. You should only watch one film a year and it should be my film. And that's how he goes to make a film. And that's why he's such a hard person to work for. You get the impression when you think about working for Miyazaki that he accepts nothing but the ultimate like perfection.
Well, I mean,
like,
he kind of chastised his own son, didn't he, after he did Tales of Earth? Which is
away
actually
from
not
him.
a bad scene. She's not a bad
It's all right, yeah, but it's not. Miyazaki's all right. Like, yeah, it's.
I mean,
it's not what we do at Ghibli.
Like, you do want that attitude that you don't want to make any film you make. It should be, I'm putting my best foot forward.
Sure.
And do you know what I mean? You should always have that mentality. But I think Miyazaki kind of really believes that, though.
Really believes it, yeah. I mean, there's an argument for me at sometimes, you're just writing a story. You're just getting a few, playing around with something. You're just having a bit of fun. It's not like the most serious thing in the world that this has to be perfect. I think, like, there's that kind of idea to kind of creating stuff as well, rather than just having to, like, push the, you don't have to always push the boulder uphill. And sometimes you can just have, like, play with it a little bit. Yeah. But I found this quote, by the way, I was going to say when you said about him hating the film. There's characters that are not in the cartoon at all, and one of them's these triple demons of compromise, they're called, and they're in the book they're described as one being short, one being fat, and one being tall and thin. No, sorry, one being short and fat, one being tall and thin, and the third one looking exactly like the other two is the way it's written in the book.
Oh God, how do you do that in animation?
Yeah, how can you possibly do that in animation? It's almost like just the writer just went out of his way to write something that's unfilmable, really. And the fact that Chuck Jones and also the other directors in this actually managed to get an actual visual kind of cartoon out of this is actually really good. But I think it does explain maybe why Juster didn't like the film, because I think it's never going to be whatever he was writing.
Yeah, it's like Dave Gorman tried to write a book that was about a colour that didn't exist, and it's about a war over this new colour that's created, which you can't imagine a new colour. So like, how would you like that kind of thing? How would you put that on screen? It's just impossible.
It's a lot like a lot of Discworld stuff. Like there's a lot of jokes in Discworld that work because it's a book. It doesn't work any other way. Like the footnotes, even like the footnotes are a big part of Discworld, and translating that for screen doesn't work. It's almost pointless, really. Yeah,
but like the character design is like it's fantastic, and like the backgrounds look amazing. It's just like
there was one in particular I loved.
Which character was that?
Trivium.
Which one was that?
It's the demon at the end who tries to distract you with trivial tasks. And he's kind of got no face. He's got like a floating head.
He's this floating guy. Yeah, I thought that was like.
I thought it was a really good design, and I wondered if that's where the metal band get their name from. Trivium.
Probably. Let me have a look.
But that's my favourite character design in the whole thing.
Well, there's a band called the Phantom Tollbooth.
Is there?
Apparently so. Well, when I googled it, like I actually went to the Phantom Tollbooth band Wikipedia page. Well, I mean, Trivium is. What is it? It's a Latin word for trivium, which means the place where three roads meet.
Oh. Okay.
So there you go. You studied Latin at school. You went to a posh school.
I did so many years of Latin, Ollie. Like so many. I did 5 years in high school, and then I did a year at university as well. And I don't know a single bit of Latin. I don't know how to read it, pronounce it, do anything with it. I've nothing, nothing sunk in at all.
There you go. Trivia means a place where three roads meet. There you go.
There we go. I'll use that. Yeah, I use that all the time. I was going to say, we haven't described, but the plot basically is this young boy, Milo, is depressed. And he kind of It's episodic. He basically goes to this land beyond, and he meets all these kind of weird characters on his way to get to a castle to save like the land. That's basically the film. I think.
I mean, I like what you said. A lot of those films are kind of like that. Like Labyrinth, she'll go to the different realms where she picks up a new character that kind of joins the journey.
Yeah.
Like a lot of fancy films do this. It's kind of quite video game in a way. Like here's the doldrums level. Here's the word level. Here's the picture level, and then
totally. You can even like imagine it as a cartoon rather than a film, because you could just do each one as a different episode easily.
Yeah, totally. So like I like the fact that basically after it starts off with him at school, and he's obviously kind of not interested. I hate
the music so much in
the
start of this film.
It's so that it's the kind. If I didn't know it was an animated film, I would have turned it off.
Yes,
it's that horrible twee kind of 60s kind of almost like late 50s 60s kind of fairy tale, but it's
very flower power.
Yeah, and it's
with it's like there's scenes in like Asterix cartoons that have similar sort of music. It's what I'm thinking of, but like it's very just like you can imagine like 12 like women just go like singing together with like some twangly music in the background and stuff.
It's full of lots of zoom in shots of like wide shots that zoom into Milo, or he's on it's a long sequence of him just walking or just sitting on the tram. Apparently Chuck Jones is on the tram.
Oh, okay, I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
he's very recognisable as well, Chuck Jones. I'm surprised I didn't see him, because he's his big glasses and normally has like a bow tie or something, doesn't he? Right. But Milo is like Milo the kid kind of looks like he's like little Ronnie Howard.
I was just gonna say little Ronnie. He's that kind of level.
That kind of kid. You can imagine him like in a Lassie episode or something.
He's kind of got his jeans are kind of like right a little bit high up, so he's got his little white high tops on and stuff like that. And
like proper Billy Batson kind of thing. Like,
I'll tell you another film this reminded me of. I guess it's like The Page Master a little bit.
Yes, definitely actually.
Yeah, but Page Master, like, I think the art style in that hasn't aged as well. It kind of looks a bit, I don't know. There's an era of like some 90s animation that kind of hasn't aged.
I kind of know the Page Master much better from the video game.
Right.
I made so much more.
But again, like, I think that film was like the first like 5 minutes is live action, and the last 5 minutes is live action. The rest is all
you got
animated.
like kind of Christopher Lloyd in it, maybe. In the live action bits. But it's how does he have such a long journey to school? Like, it's like he needs to get like 3 trams and a bus and like walk over 4 hills to get to school each day or something. It's bizarre. And I did like the goats though. He just feeds some goats. I like that.
You know who plays Milo?
I don't.
So his name is Butch Patrick, and he was in the original Munsters as is it Eddie Munster, the little wolf boy?
Oh my god! Okay, yeah.
Huh. That's who plays him. I swear at some point in the film his voice breaks, because there's a bit later on where his voice sounds very different. And I don't know whether they got another kid to voice it or something, because it just for like a one sequence it just changes, and I'm like, that does not sound like that the same kid.
Maybe he just broke that day. His voice was breaking a little bit, and they just didn't have time to reshoot it.
But like, so as soon as he gets home, and he gets one biscuit out, who gets one biscuit out? Like,
he's such a depressing, bored
one
kid.
Biscuit
like,
is so boring.
And his home looks like a lobby of like a hotel.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So yeah, his phone rings, and it's his friend Ralph.
Oh yeah.
I love the quote from Chuck Jones. Apparently, he said like he had to be called Ralph because if he was called like Steve or Mike, they would have called with something to do. But then he goes, Ralph just sounds like a wet tennis shoe. So like another kid that's just like Milo, just kind of like a bit of it.
They have the world's most boring conversation on the phone. Like they just moan about how like it's so useless learning and having knowledge and doing homework. It's the worst.
Yeah.
Like, and the kid's like, yeah, it's the worst. There's no rhyme or reason to life. And
And then all of a sudden he hears a noise, and then he goes into his hallway, and there's a big red parcel.
it's his bedroom. I know it looks like a hallway.
Oh, is it his bedroom?
Yeah,
It looks
it's
like
got
a
a bed in
hallway.
it. It looks like it's not a kid's room. It's not. No one should live in this room. It's like it looks like a little prison. Yeah, and a big present appears, doesn't it? Like,
But I do like this sequence. It kind of reminded me of the Joe Dante sequence in the Twilight Zone movie, like that
oh
kind
yeah,
of.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And so, like, it kind of unwraps itself and kind of erects like a toll booth in his
Yeah.
bedroom.
I
And
just,
then, like,
I
I
was
like
just
how the car pops out, and it kind of transforms as he stands on it. He's spinning around, and it's kind of
oh yeah, that's right.
transforms around him. What are you gonna say?
I just like the whole idea of making it a toll booth is so funny to me. It's like such a boring.
It's
thing.
the Phantom Tollbooth does not sell this film really. Like
Anything,
it's
no.
like anything else would have been a better name.
Almost anything else. Like, yeah, honestly, like I don't even know why he has to. He even pays to go through the toll booth. It's that like rigorous that.
But I did like the sequence though where he drives through one side and then he's animated on the other side, and then he keeps it goes on for way too long though.
It does go on for
It's
a few
like about
beats
a
too
good
long.
3
yeah.
minutes, and you're like, come on now, just
And then he doesn't even drive all the way through. He backs out again, doesn't he?
yeah. And then I like tell him to hurry up, so then he drives.
Yeah,
through.
as a go at him. Basically gives him a car and tells him to go like and
But,
have
like,
an adventure.
I love the mixture of live action and animation. It's like why I've done it a lot in my films
Yeah.
and that. But I like Who Framed Roger Rabbit is one of my favourites because it does it perfectly.
Perfect.
Space Jam.
I thought I was
I don't
quite
like Space
impressed
Jam.
that this was. I like it.
I don't like.
I was
Space
quite
Jam.
impressed that this was 1970 or whatever, 1968, wherever they made it.
But yeah,
They-
but don't forget that was kind of like all the thing in the '60s. So you had Mary Poppins, you had Bed Knobs
Oh,
and
true.
Broomsticks, and
Yeah,
I'm sure there
true.
was some others in it. Pete's Dragon, or was that the '70s?
I can't remember when Pete's Dragon came out.
But anyway, there was like a string of films that were kind of live action, animated hybrids.
Somewhere along the day, they worked out how to do this, and it became
Yeah.
a thing. Yeah.
But they had been doing it in way back in the 30s and the 20s and stuff. Like they had been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, they had been probably, but it looks good though.
Yeah, yeah. It just as I said, it just went on for way too long.
Way too long. It's so like there's something about 70s like writing for kids that is so or even 60s whenever it came out. It's so just not fun, or it's just trying to make learning fun or trying to present rules but in a fun way or something.
Well,
and
it's awkward because by the time you get to the 90s and maybe nowadays, it's just all about selling stuff then.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
you've kind
this
of got
isn't trying
this.
to sell
You've
a
got
thing.
you've
Yeah.
either got it's too highbrow kind of looking down them, or it's just trying to sell stuff, and there's no mid ground. There's a few that
yeah.
get through that kind of are just great and on their own terms, and then a lot of them is just either talking down or just trying to sell shit.
Yeah.
So
Did you the whole time I was watching this, all I could think about was that Simpsons episode where I think they need a replacement for Itchy and Scratchy, and they show this cartoon called the Amendment to Be,
okay.
which is it's a scroll sitting on the seats of Congress or whatever, singing a song to this kid about being an amendment, about how to become a law and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I've been singing this song in my head since then, it's because it just couldn't stop thinking about this episode. And I found out that the short in Simpsons is based on something called Schoolhouse Rocks, which I'd never heard of. And Schoolhouse Rocks was basically this a TV show that was just full of these making learning is fun kind of cartoons for kids.
Okay.
So this joke in The Simpsons is literally an episode of this Schoolhouse Rocks about how a bill becomes a law or something. And I just couldn't stop thinking of that all the way through this. It felt like very similar worlds.
Well, like, so when he's like he's driving through and he just well, basically he gets this map, doesn't he? So he gets to choose where his destination is, and he goes,
That's right.
"Well, I want to go."
Yeah,
to the
the
big
top is
castle.
very insistent, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, you can't leave until you know where you're gonna go. or something
Yeah.
like that. It's like that's quite bad though. It's like saying you can't find your own way. It's saying you must know your direction. You must know
I
where
agree.
you're
I
going.
think a lot of the messages in this film are bad.
Yeah,
things to teach a kid.
Yeah,
Like, I don't think they're good things to teach kids.
yeah.
But like, this is probably like 70s kind of parenting, though. Just
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
go out and go out and drive a car. I don't know. Like, pull up by your bootstraps and get sorted. Like,
But anyway, he's driving around and he's met by this police officer who is kind of like he's got wheels for legs.
yes, he does. That
Yeah.
is Officer Short Shift. I think
Yeah.
his name was. Yeah, that's the first kind of person you meet, and he's yelling at him for something. I don't know why he pulls him over.
Why does he put him? I'm not gonna lie. I watched this like 2 days ago, and a lot of it has left my mind.
But Short Shift is voiced by Mel Blanc.
Well, I mean, he
it-
voices a lot of characters. There's one later on where he's like this weird Rubik's Cube kind of thing, and he just sounds.
I
like
love
Bugs
that
Bunny.
character.
But it
Yeah.
just sounds like Bugs Bunny.
It just sounds like Bugs Bunny. Yeah, I'd say Mel Blanc voiced, I don't know, every cartoon
Yeah,
character
Bugs
you know.
Bunny and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like anything. Name a cartoon character.
Do you
and
know
he
what
voiced
though?
it.
Like, apparently, like there's only been like 4 or 5 people who've ever voiced Bugs Bunny. It's kind of like a thing that's passed down. So like someone will like I think Billy West may have done it for like 10, 15 years, and then like so it passes on to one person. A bit. I think Sesame Street kind of do the same thing as well. Like where someone is Kermit and that's their job for like however long they want to do it for, basically.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like it's a big honor to be able to do like Bugs Bunny or something, I guess.
Like and like there's a like especially now like voiceover artists are like they're really well revered. So like Peter Cullen who did like Optimus Prime and stuff, and Frank Welker, they're big deals.
Yeah,
Do you know
yeah,
what
they
I mean?
are.
Like so much
And,
so
like-
that like when they did the Transformers movie, I know you and Brandon said I'm a massive fan of Transformers, even though I bought up Transformers right now. I'm not a big fan of Transformers, but Optimus Prime is one of my favourite toys. But I'm not a big Transformers fan.
Okay, you're definitely more of a Transformers fan than I am. Let's put it that way.
Well, I have one Transformer toy. That's it. That's the. Well, no, like
That's
I have the Ecto one Transformer. So I had to. But did you know they're doing a Back to the Future Transformer toy? It's called Gigawatt, and it's basically a
Oh.
DeLorean that transforms.
God.
I'm buying it for you.
Thanks. I watched Back to the Future. the other
I know
day.
you did.
Yeah, that's it. Could have talked about that earlier. Guess what? Good film.
Yeah. Oh, I told you I had a really good idea for how to do a legacy sequel to it. But we'll
Okay.
talk about that another day. Anyway,
yeah,
Phantom
we'll
Tollbooth.
tease that. Tease Ollie's Back to the Future.
Yeah. So what's his
Yeah,
name?
Mel Blanc. That's what I was talking
Officer
about.
Short Shrift.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know why he pulls him over, but he tells
Was it for
Milo
speeding? Oh, I can't
that it
remember.
might be.
I'm sure it's for speeding.
But he asks Milo if he wants a long or short sentence, and Milo picks short. So Mr. Officer Shortshrift gives him a piece of paper with "I am" written on it.
Yeah, I am.
Because it's the shortest sentence he knows. And like, I just at this point I was like, I think these puns are going to kill me.
Yeah, just my
I'm not
eyes
gonna
rolled
survive
straight away. I
this.
was like, no. It's one of these films.
If this is going to be this constantly. And it is just this like, I don't know, like Milo doesn't really have like an arc or anything.
He doesn't really have much of a character, really.
No, he's just really the author just is really just concerned with putting as much like kind of wordplay as he can into a book, I think. Like, but then he says he's going to the castle because he's decided he's going to go to the castle in the air, isn't he?
Yeah.
And when he says it in this magical world, wherever it's called, like it all goes dark and thunder cracks and everything like that. And Milo's just like, yeah, that's fine. Like, he doesn't think that's like a bad omen or something.
But yeah, so he carries on. He ends up in the doldrums.
Well, no, first he meets the weatherman.
Oh shit!
Who-
Yeah, is it weather or like,
I
again?
couldn't
more...
stand this character.
Yeah.
He's like,
He travels around in balloons.
Yeah, with questions on them. Like, you know those questions. What are those words? I'm not good at English. What are those words that like how, what, why?
Yeah.
He's a character who's obsessed with those questions. And he just kind of, I don't know, he annoys Milo until Milo goes away, I think. That's basically what happens. And then he falls asleep at the wheel and ends up in the doldrums. Yeah. And the doldrums are like mucus covered.
They're really well animated though. They look cool.
Yeah. They're called the Lethargians. Yeah, the Lethargians.
But they start to like take over him in the car. But he's already met Tok at this point, hasn't he? We forgot about
No.
Oh no,
he hasn't met Tok yet. No,
has he not met Tok?
It's just Tok saves him from the doldrums. Like
that's it.
But like I was just, this is such 70s America for me. This doldrum section, because the Thargians are saying stuff like it's against the law to think in the doldrums, and it's the doldrums are where you end up if you don't pay attention and you daydream.
Yes,
and they'll
daydream is bad.
Yeah, like, and it's properly like this kind of 70s of like, you must work in America. Like, never ever be creative or think or daydream or anything. Like, it's just, you have to be on it all the time.
Well, that's the one thing I forgot to mention about, apparently when Chuck Jones, like, first became an animator, like, one of the things they say to you is, okay, you've got 100,000 drawings in you before you're actually any good.
Okay.
It's like this kind of mentality that you have to be like, I know this is not related to what we're talking about now. It just popped up in my head, but
go for it.
You had to be like an engineer. You had to be so perfect at your job until you're allowed to do your job. You can't.
Yes. You
can't like find your way or kind of mix it up or kind of experiment.
Which is something I really disagree with.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that too. And you know, I think what's his name? Who does Brad Bird's kind of got that same mentality.
Sure, I bet he does. Yeah, I bet he does.
You know, because he probably is taught by these guys who were from
He would have been, because he was fired from Disney, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was, yeah.
So yeah, and then like I remember my first day of uni, sitting down, and you know, I can draw. That's what I do for a living, and even back then, you know, I could draw. You know, and the first question they asked was like, "Who of you think you can draw?" And like I put my hand up because, you know, I could draw. I mean, I'm not going to say I was the best artist in the world ever, but I could draw. And I looked around, no one else had their hands up, and I just said, "You're on an animation course and you don't think you can draw? What?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like,
what's
just
going
because?"
on? Yeah.
And then our teacher Ross was like, "You think you can draw? Prove it." And so I did a drawing. He was, "That's not very good." And I was like, "Who are you to judge on what?"
Yeah, fuck you.
And so. And it started he obviously was hoping for someone like me to say this so he could kind of have his little game that he wanted to do. I was just like, sorry, that mentality.
No, I'm absolutely with you. That kind of mentality, it just puts people off getting into arts and doing stuff.
Yeah.
And arts is meant to be fun, and art's meant to be creative, and you're meant to be able to fail. We've talked about this a lot with different directors. Like you should be able to fail at stuff and not ruin you, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to get stuff wrong and be able to try again and stuff. And the idea that you can just you can do something once right and that's it is really...
It's like I was chatting to Brandon about it earlier today, and he goes, it's like arts, being creative is not like a kettle. A kettle succeeds, like it's got one function, it boils water.
Yeah.
But being a creative it's all subjective, so...
Yeah,
I may not be the best artist, but to somebody that may look really cool. To
That's
somebody
what
may be really shit at drawing. Do you know what I mean? But like
absolutely
this film
subjective.
to me kind of treats it as like, no, you must. I don't know. Just you have to be perfect. I don't know. It's weird.
It is, and like the Tok comes and saves him from the doldrums now.
Oh yeah, with it.
and he says a quote to Milo. He says like He says it's bad enough wasting time rather than killing it, is what he says. And I'm like, that's not a lesson for a kid. A kid should be allowed to waste time. Like, what a stupid thing to tell a child that he's not allowed to relax and daydream. Like, I just think that's so weird to me. Like, no wonder people are messed up if that was like what their like children's animation was yelling at them. The doldrums are kind of cool though, and I like how they're like little snot creatures that kind of merge together.
Yeah, I like that.
And
they start to consume the the car, don't they? And kind
Yeah,
of
the car
work their
gets all
way up.
covered in mucus or whatever, and
So he has to kind of like be smart to get out of.
that's right. And he starts just naming scientists, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
to get
That's his-
E equals MC squared,
Yeah.
and he kind of gets a bit. The
I
car moves a
forgot
bit.
that he just starts naming inventors like Thomas Edison and stuff like that, and that means that he's intelligent, which is I don't think that works that way. But this is the point when I was just like, this cartoon would tell me off that I didn't do like a STEM major, like if I'm not I didn't do like science and technology and stuff like that. Like this cartoon would hate me for that. Like I really got that impression from it. And then you get bloody song now. You get like time is a gift, I think it's called, and Tok sings it. I hate.
But going back to what we were just talking about, sorry, Miyazaki was 100% that person though, who thinks you have to be perfect to do something, but for some reason his work doesn't. That doesn't come out of the work.
It doesn't come through. Yeah, his work is really about a lot of like environmental stuff, isn't it? As well. It does a little bit. There's a lot of his stories a bit kind of showing like about making your own way. Like Spirited Away is really about this child working until she gets some responsibility or something, and that's good for her kind of thing. So there is a little bit of that in them. It just doesn't come across the same, does it?
Yeah. Anyway,
it seems more life affirming than this does.
So sorry, he gets out the doldrums, and then is this where he's at the pass where he sees the towns that have been separated?
Yes, which looks a little bit like a Roadrunner landscape to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, all the backgrounds of that have got that kind of pastel-y kind of look, which I really like because it kind of separates it from the animation, but in a way that fits. Like my biggest pet peeve in animation, and I don't like it when the backgrounds are like perfectly like lifelike. Like a lot of old Disney did it. Yeah. And then you've kind of got these simplistic animated characters over the top.
Is that like Hanna-Barbera?
No, Hanna-Barbera are a bit more stylized. They're a bit more like this film. But like my one of my other animation teachers used to think that she used to say the background should look exactly the same as the character, which I kind of disagree with then, because I think the character will get lost. Yeah, but I really like the simplicity of like the expressionness of this kind of background as opposed to like a fully realistic one. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of realistic animation anyway. I think it kind of, I don't know,
takes a bit of the fun of animation away.
Yeah,
I think
so.
Like I like in this animation is great, and you get all that kind of squish and stuff. A little bit, and it does feel really like watching it was fine to me. Like it was lovely to watch, and I was kind of really happy Chuck Jones had like an actual film. This isn't. I knew that was like there was a live action and animated sections. I was really happy to find out that the majority of the film's animated.
Oh yeah. I couldn't have dealt if it was just all Milo the whole way.
But I was saying that like that's when Tok sings "This Time Is a Gift," and the songs in this bloody film are awful.
Yeah, they're not great.
and I couldn't tell you one of them. Like I wrote down the names of them when they popped up to try and remember them, but they're so unmemorable and they're so unmusical. They're so uncreative, like as music.
So basically,
which is a real shame.
So basically, you're in the middle of like two towns, aren't you? So you've kind of got what are they called? So you've got like one that's like a word.
Do you want me to reveal the conflict to the world?
Yeah, go on.
It's so there was the Kingdom of Wisdom.
Digitopolis.
Yeah, so the Kingdom of Wisdom, and when the old king died, it split into Dictionopolis and Digitopolis, and both of them are arguing which is more important, words or numbers. And in the background are the mountains of ignorance, Ollie, who don't care about experts. And there's a guy called Chroma who likes rainbows. There's another guy, and they sing about princesses. Like, what happens with the princesses? Oh yeah, the princesses. They're
at the end, aren't they?
So Dictionopolis is run by King and Digitopolis is run by the math magician. Yeah. And when they go to the princesses who took over from the dead King of Wisdom, to ask them which one's better, words or numbers, they go, well, this doesn't fucking matter, and they get really angry at them and they lock them in the tower. That's what happens. They lock rhyme and reason into the castle in the air.
So
And
I think he first goes to Dictionopolis.
Yeah, he never actually goes to Digitopolis in this film.
I thought he did.
He doesn't. He just meets the math magician in a cave.
Oh, okay. He doesn't actually go.
He doesn't actually go to the city, which I thought was ridiculous.
But anyway, so he goes to Dictionopolis, and he's kind of like a market where they're selling words and stuff. So he goes to buy like these big words, doesn't he? Because he thinks it'll impress Ralph or something. I don't know. But you can definitely hear some Mel Blanc in here of the people like selling the words, and then he's like he tells the little boy, "You don't want these big words. Have good and day or something like that." I don't know. Yeah. Or happy
he goes
and
these
good.
massive words and he can't even say them, and then seller's like, "Oh, you stupid kid! Look, here's a kid word for you. Go away."
And then you meet the humbug.
He meets the spelling bee and the humbug. Yeah, who don't like each other for reasons that are never explored.
I love the spelling bee though, because he's kind of like that scruffy animation.
Yeah,
and I think later on, I think it's in the same sequence. You've got those purple cloud things that are kind of just swirling around the whole time. It's just like paint, like swirled around, and I really like that effect of. That's kind of quite experimental animation where you just kind of like fucking around and you're seeing what you can do. Okay. I quite like that, because then they animate, then they put the Chuck Jones kind of stuff over the top with the hands and the faces and stuff. Yeah.
I quite liked the design of Dictionopolis as well. I think, like, if I remember correctly, when he starts getting closer to Dictionopolis, all the landscapes start becoming words.
Yeah.
And like everything starts being made out of words, like on trees and like grass just has grass written on it 100 times with makeup and stuff like that. And I thought that was really cool, and I thought it looked really great actually.
You know, it was really good. And then so you meet the spelling bee.
Yeah, and Spelling Bee and Humbug have a fight, and they wreck the market.
I don't understand what Humbug is doing in this film. I really can't. No. I couldn't understand what was going on with that character, to be honest.
No. I don't know why he's called Humbug. I don't know anything. No, I don't understand anything about Humbug at all. But basically, the words guilty land on Milo, and Officer Shortshrift turns up and locks him in jail for 6 million years.
Yes.
Because, cops.
But he takes Tok as well, doesn't he? Tok goes in prison with him as well.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and we
forgot to mention Tok is a dog, and in his stomach he's got a clock that ticks.
That's right. He's a watchdog.
Watchdog, yes.
Yeah.
But
this whole film is badumpt.
Yeah.
He in jail, he meets the Good Witch, who's somehow related to that annoying guy that we met earlier. And she then tells Milo about the princesses of Rhyme and Reason who are barraged to the castle and for being centralists when they couldn't make a decision. And he decides that he has to go and save Rhyme and Reason to stop these two these two warring kingdoms.
But this king guy, he says he agrees to let Milo attempt to speak to his brother or whatever, the mathematician.
Yeah.
So he says, "Okay, you can do it."
Yeah.
So when he sees the mathematician disagrees. He says, "No, I won't." I won't go along with it. But then there's the whole kind of, so you disagree that he agrees, and then do you agree that you both disagree? And he's like, "Yeah, I agree to that." No,
damn! The King's song about how good words are annoyed me so much. And then later on, the mathematician's song about how good numbers are annoyed me even more because he's using words. How can he say that numbers are better when he has to use words to describe like his song and talk?
A lot of these sequences reminded me of stuff in Sword in the Stone, like that kind of...
Yeah, similar look to them.
Yeah.
He basically says, because there's no rhyme or reason in the world, words are losing all meaning. So go and save the princesses, and for some reason the humbug goes along.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. And the king gives Milo a bag that contains all the words he knows. That's important. And Oh, we forgot my favourite character. Before they get to Dictionopolis, they meet this guy called Cacophonous, who Cacophonous A Discord. That's it. Who's a guy who just really likes noise, and he sings a song about how great noise is.
He's got the little wagon that's like
Yeah,
it's like a TARDIS inside.
yeah. And he has a pet that's called the Awful Din. And the Awful Din's my favourite character ever. Like, he's just a big grumpy cloud who's made up of rare and exotic noises. And people always yell at him, "Stop that Awful Din." He's the best, and he sings a song. And
Was the Awful Din the pink thing that was moving around? No.
Yeah, like a big purple cloud. Yeah, the Awful Din.
Like I said, I watched this 2 days ago, but it's kind of just
slipping away.
Slipping away.
Yeah. They get to then they meet a dodecahedron who I don't know. They have to yell maths at it or something, and the wall opens. But you never actually get to Digitopolis. You just meet the mathematician now in that cave, and mathematician sings a song about how great numbers are, and they go sure, and he gives Milo a pencil that can write any mathematical formula, which I would argue is just any pencil. I don't know. I don't know why this pencil's special.
I don't know.
But
it's
like,
not as good as penny crayons pencils, is it?
Exactly. It was not. It's just a pencil.
Penny crayon. She can draw anything she likes. Anyway.
I can't believe you memorised that. I can't remember at all. I thought this was really weird that someone comes from Dictionopolis, the humbug, and they don't get anyone from Digitopolis.
Yeah.
So I thought like the whole kind of plot of the cartoon is that obviously you can't be this entrenched in your positions.
Yeah, you'd have two people that go along from the two different factions that kind of...
And get them to get on.
Yeah.
And that I think
it's
that
like
would be...
Gimli and Legolas, you know.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they got a Gimli. They needed a Legolas in this.
Yeah.
Or the other way around, whatever. Yeah, and they didn't. And I just thought that was really odd because the humbug just basically then has nothing to do. There's no reason the humbug's there for the rest of the film.
And like when I was watching the film, I was like, I don't know if I just nodded off for a second, but I was like, why is the humbug in the car? What's going on? Like,
I don't know.
Did I have a stroke midway through the film and just kind of forgot what was going on?
I think, like, for some reason, the king says, "Does anyone want to go with you?" And the spelling bee bites his bum, and that means the humbug goes with them.
Okay.
But I don't know. But you do meet this kind of the best animation, I think, at this point, because that's when they meet Chroma, the guy who conducts sunsets.
That was he's my favourite character, I think.
And he's conducting the sunset, isn't he? When they meet him, and like Chuck Jones is really showing off, I think, with the backgrounds and the animation. I think it looks really cool. Like especially how all the colours and the tones all kind of start changing.
Well, especially when he goes to sleep and he's for some reason he asks Milo to wake him up.
Yeah, I don't understand that bit at all.
But when Milo starts conducting, that's when it gets really interesting and like
he fucks up the world.
Yeah. So then throughout the rest of the film, it's just it's constantly shifting, which must have been like a right nightmare to do that.
Right, it must have been, yeah.
For like computers and stuff.
But yeah, he messes up the sky, which that's not good going, Milo.
No.
Yeah, I thought the conductor as well really reminded me of that Chuck Jones Bugs Bunny cartoon when he's the conductor.
I
wonder if he was referencing it.
Oh, probably.
I thought but it reminded me of that quite.
Well, like the thing I liked about that scene is it's like a lot like the Looney Tunes, where it's all kind of the action's orchestrated to music.
Yes.
So like cymbals, like people like in the orchestra would be like the clashing of like thunder and stuff like that. And that's one of my favourite things in animation, when they use music as sound effects.
Yeah, I wanted more of that in this film, I have to say. In a film that was selling itself as a musical, they didn't really do much with music in this, and there wasn't much animating to that music. When they sang the song, they just kind of just sang it, really.
Yeah.
It wasn't that inventive. Excuse me.
It's all right.
So yeah, they keep going into the mountains of ignorance now. And they come across loads of demons now, which are some of these are kind of cool, I thought.
Did you notice though that the animation kind of gets scruffy with them?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was trying to be like a metaphor or something to saying that these are like things you don't need in your life, or so. I don't know, like
Right.
like
Yeah.
and so they're kind of a bit kind of like even their animation is a bit cruder and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Rougher. Yeah. I think.
So
I think
I like the one that that's kind of like, oh Christ, I can't think. He looked like a bit of a bug kind of thing with the big collars, and
which one was that one? Yeah.
I can't remember now.
Well, I remember the first one they meet is the senses taker,
That's the one. That's the one I'm thinking of.
takes away their sense of direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was kind of cool, and but they stop him by not letting them take away their sense of humor, and they open up a bottle of laughter that they got from the noise dude.
Then he starts laughing as well, doesn't he?
And he starts laughing as well, yeah. So the next one they meet is Trivium, who's like, I think is kind of creepy. And he's just like distracting them to do pointless stuff. Like they get him to move like a pile of sand with tweezers or dig for a cliff with a needle.
Yeah, because they get humbug, don't they? And he's poking like
Yeah.
the rocks with a needle and stuff like that.
But I kind of liked some of his lines. He was just like, if you always do the easy and useless jobs, you'll never get around to the important ones. And there are so many useless things left to do: paper clips to bend and fingernails to pick. Which I thought was quite a good line.
Is the next one when they fall down the hole and it's like that little kind of...
Yeah, the demon of insincerity that I just thought was incredibly cute. I didn't know why that was a demon. It was just a tiny little fluffy thing that he can't help being mean.
It looked like Danny DeVito.
It was Danny DeVito.
I think it's just because he looks like the Lorax, and who is Danny DeVito.
And then there's the
there's the big giant one, the big hand,
gelatinous giant, yeah, who
then melts and then becomes like a river of...
Yeah, he tries to eat them, but he's the one thing they can't swallow, or he can't swallow ideas or something. He hates change or something like that, and he melts.
It's all play on words, isn't it? I mean,
yeah. I was trying to remember them. I knew it was something. Then it's like, it's kind of then like they're just about to get to the castle, but then all the demons attack them. So you get like, and they start naming them really quickly, but you don't get much to know about them. Like there's the two-faced hypocrite.
Become like the Megazord, and they kind of like
yeah. So they all come individually, because I remember there was one called the Overbearing Know-It-All, which really made me laugh. And they start using numbers and words together to defeat them. Well, he doesn't really. He just sets up a number 4 as a bow and arrow and starts shooting words at them. It's not really using like numbers together, but I guess that's what they are trying to pretend he's doing. But yeah, they all form together to form like the ultimate demon, like to form Brexit. and like who's built out of malice and prejudice and cruelty and hate or something like and the demon kind of attacks Tok and kills Tok, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he defeats the demon by throwing the pencil at him with the power of truth or something. Which apparently the idea of truth still existed.
That's what, like I was saying, like the animation looks a bit rough around this bit. I don't know if like this part of the film wasn't as thought out as the rest, and I don't know if it was a bit rushed or.
It did feel a little bit rushed compared to the rest of it.
Like you said, like they use the numbers like just as like arrows and stuff, and it's like well,
it's not that inventive.
Yeah,
really. Compared to what I thought it would be, much more inventive. It really wasn't that inventive. He just starts yelling out words at them, basically, and like they don't like it. He defeats the big old demon, and they get to the castle, and the princesses tell them that they were the one that sent the toll booth. They needed to find a boy that was so bored that he would go anywhere or something, which is very weird. It's like the power of depression or something. He's like, Milo's really upset that he broke the sky, but the princess is just like, it's fine. It's cool. We can fix it, guys.
Yeah, because he wakes up and just fixes it.
Yeah,
he's going to wake up at some point anyway, isn't he? So, but doesn't something wake him up? Something wakes him up.
I don't know. I just remember the princesses like fly through the world, don't they, and like fix everything.
Well, I know they obviously Tok like becomes alive again. He he starts ticking again.
I don't know. Oh, they go to a party. They have a stupid party, don't they?
I can't remember, man. I'm sorry, but my mind has just totally gone blank on this film. Like, what's happened? What happened?
They have like a little party at the end, isn't it? And they all go like, "Yay, the world's fixed!" And then he just wakes up. In his boring
for
life
some reason the humbug, his clothing goes a brighter shade, and he's like, "Ooh."
Yeah, you're right. That does happen.
I'm like, why did that happen? Like,
why did that happen? There was a weird. Yeah, he just wakes up and
he has. I know they have one final confrontation with Officer Short Shrift. Something happens.
They do. I literally can't remember the end of this film. I can't remember it. All I know is he wakes up and his dumb friend is still on the phone.
Yeah. He's like, this really annoyed me. So he's on the phone to his friend. It's been 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, 5 minutes is long enough to hang up.
He's so angry to his friend who has no idea what's going on. He's like,
yeah,
can't you believe what I'm telling you? And he hasn't told him anything yet. And it's like, chill out, mate, chill out.
Chill out. And his dumb friend's just like, hello.
And he goes, look, can't you believe what I'm telling you? I orchestrated the sky or whatever. And he's like,
yeah. And his friend's like, what do you mean you conducted a sunrise? And Milo's like, well, somebody has to conduct the sunrise. How else do you get all the colours? And I was like, that is such a "Hey, God exists" line in this book. Like, it's such like, "Hey, God, don't forget God's important too."
But then you find Ralph gets a
gets a box.
The box wraps itself up and flies out his
window.
Bedroom.
Yeah, and
then obviously ends up in Ralph's bedroom.
And Ralph's like, "Hey, what's this box behind me?" And it's a sequel setup for the next one. And then Milo goes outside and he runs around and plays on the swing, which is lovely.
Milo.
And he goes on a slide and it's all lovely and he's really happy now because this stupid adventure went on.
To be honest, I thought this film though would have set it up that he was happy to do his homework or something the way after that. Like,
probably,
now I'm going to do my maths and my English homework.
Now I know how important maths is. I can't wait to do my maths homework. Yeah, that was fine. I mean, it's hard to love it. Like
I said at the beginning, the animation, you can't fault it. It's fantastic animation. The characters look great.
Yeah.
They have classic Warner Brothers and animation voice artists like doing the voices and stuff. So you kind of feel a little bit at home with it.
Yeah, because you get a lot of the voice actors are people that you know from like
I don't
Disney.
want to say it's boring, but it's very I don't know, like not testing. I don't know what the word. Like
it's very. Oh God. Okay. Yeah. Like, if the songs suck, that's the problem for me. Like if the songs were fun, then I think it would have been a lot more fun to listen to and watch. But because the songs were so boring, I found it difficult to kind of get into.
Milo. Yeah.
Or whatever the bloody songs they sing in it. I couldn't tell you one of the songs they sing in the world.
Hang on, I've got a list of them here somewhere. The soundtrack, Milo's song.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say that. There's nothing to do in the doldrums. Time is a gift. Noise, beautiful noise.
That's a good one.
Word market. Numbers are the only thing that count. And rhyme and reason reign.
Oh yeah, rhyme and reason reign.
They're like, yeah. Like no one likes a really verbose song, and like because if you're trying to cram too many words in or big words in just for the sake, it doesn't necessarily make it a good song. No,
it doesn't. And it's just it was so preachy. Couldn't. It was annoying me so much. It was so preachy. Even the fact that it's like, heavily handedly saying we're going to bring rhyme and reason back to the world to fix everything, and it's like, don't be like that. Don't be such a cop.
So
it's really annoying.
What would you give it out of 5 then?
I don't know because the animation's brilliant. Like that's like, I guess 3. I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2.5, 3. I'd say 3, and that's pure. That's like 2.5 for the animation.
Yeah.
I think.
I couldn't.
Or
I
three.
wasn't very taken by the whole film, but
Yeah.
I just really liked
You
the
can
fact
see
that
why-
Chuck Jones does a whole film and it looks great is really cool.
You can see why it didn't take off with kids because it's. I had a little bit of a whistle on the end of my voice.
You didn't?
Yeah, I can see why it didn't take off with kids.
No, yeah, I agree.
You know what animated film came out this year? It's got to have been a Disney film.
Have a look. Yeah, good idea. I was going to say as well, because we're giving, while you looked that up, we're giving Chuck Jones a lot of credit, but there is Abe Levitot, who's also the co-director of this.
So I do wonder if he directed the live action stuff or if he...
No, there's another director for live action.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so there's 3 directors on the film. The guy who did the live action stuff, I'll just put his name up. It's Dave Monahan, who doesn't seem to have any kind of credit to him apart from this. So it's like they just gave it to someone. I don't know. Go and film this kid. But I think Abe Levitot is a really big name in animation in his own rights. He worked under Chuck Jones a lot, but I think his characters were more angular than other animators.
Okay.
And he ended up with his characters with fur looked extra shaggy, apparently. And that's just one of the things he brought to kind of the animations or something.
Yeah, so probably like that little... Like the bee and...
Yeah, the bee looks like his type of thing totally. But he also directed the film that's called Gay Paris, which was another animated film that came out with Judy Garland in 1962. And that was quite a big film, apparently. But I've never heard of it, I have to say. But
I wonder if he created that big red character that's in Warner
Oh,
Brothers,
yeah.
you know,
in Warner, yeah, probably.
the like it's in like the horror kind of
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny one, and he's like the
I can't think of his name, but yeah. But I think he was really famous for doing Mr. Magoo and stuff like that as well later on. But Abe Levitot, a bit of Matt Groening says that Grandpa Simpson's named after Abe Levitot, but he also says it's named after his grandfather. So I don't know.
He's called the Gossamer,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and he was voiced by Mel Blanc,
Of course he was.
and he was created by Chuck Jones,
Oh God.
and he's even got the same shoes as Milo one, I think.
That's right. Those
Chuck-
kind of high
his
tops.
little Chuck, yeah, Chuck Taylors. He died quite like soon after doing Phantom Tollbooth, though. Abe Levitot.
Yeah.
He died
Which
in
is kind of why I wanted to
1957.
kind of bring him up, because I think
And,
it's easy to forget people. There's a production assistant who I'm trying to find who worked with him all the time, and I think he was a kind of guy that Chuck Jones would dump stuff on all the time,
Oh, okay.
and he was quite always a bit angry with Chuck Jones for doing that to him all the time. But I can't find his name now. But he's quite a big name in animation, and there's a bit of an idea that he might have like actually done most of the directing of this film.
Oh.
But not got the credit for it. I think he's Don Morgan, I think it is.
Don Moore.
If I just look it up. Maurice Noble. That's it. Maurice Noble is the co-director on Line and Dot, who worked with Chuck Jones for like years, basically. But yeah, this guy, Maurice Noble, he's the one who designed the kind of feature for Phantom Tollbooth. But he didn't end up directing it for some reason. And I think they had a bit of a falling out or something. I don't know. But he worked on all the kind of Dr. Seuss stuff with Chuck Jones.
Right. Okay, so I think we've done Phantom Tollbooth to death.
Yeah, it's definitely now a Phantom.
What are we talking about next week then?
Next week is last one of the 70s, and we're going to investigate Superman.
Dun, 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 dun.
Which I can't remember when I last watched.
It's been a long time since I've
70s
watched.
Superman.
Definitely in the last, would have been about 15 years ago I last watched it. Which version do you want to watch, by the way?
Good question. What
do you want to watch
think?
theatrical, director's cut, or TV cut?
God, let's not do the TV cut. I guess.
Should we go theatrical if we're sticking to 70s?
Yeah.
What was released in the 70s?
I'm not a big fan of director's cuts. I have issues with them. I think they're marketing. I think they're marketing ploys rather than anything useful. Like,
Fair enough.
and because they're rarely ever actually cut by the director, which is always weird. Like the idea that a director is the best person to cut a film, I think is really weird.
Well, I think it's just to say they have final cut. Really, that's what it is. Really.
Yeah, I don't know. I always found it a bit weird. But yeah, first Superman, 1978, directed by the Richard Donner.
Yeah.
Who had an interesting fucking tale with this film. I
Yeah.
would say.
So anyway, thanks for listening. Don't forget, whatever app you use or service you use to listen to podcasts, please give us a review, a like, or whatever. We'd really appreciate it. Share it with your friends, your family. That'd be really nice. So whether it's Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Apple Music, or is it Apple Podcasts? What is it?
Apple Podcasts.
Is it Apple Podcasts? I don't
It's not on Apple Music.
I don't know. But yeah, you can also reach out to us on Twitter. We are at Adjust Your Track. That's a YR, not a your. And don't forget, if the picture's bad, always adjust your tracking. Oh, there's one thing that, because I bought the Deftones, it reminded me of the first time me and you saw the Deftones live.
Oh yeah.
Did you? I don't know if you remember this story, but I had a friend who was in a band with at the time, and he got kicked out of the band, but he bought me Deftones tickets before he got kicked out of the band, and I'd paid him for these tickets. And knowing there was a bit of tension between me and him, I was like, Liam, buy a ticket to see the Deftones. And I'm sure you're like, yeah, I want to see the Deftones. So I got you to buy a ticket, and you bought one. And because remember, the year before, my mum and dad took us to see Korn in Manchester. So your parents were like, we'll take you to Manchester. It's only fair that, we'll... Because we were only 15 at the time or whatever.
Sure.
And I remember then phoning up Russ to go, okay, I've sorted out the lift. We're going to Manchester on this day, aren't we, to see Deftones, And he's like, oh, Ollie, man, I'm really sorry, but I don't know how to tell you this, but someone at college didn't believe me that I had Deftones tickets, so I took them in. And I must have left them in my pocket when I came home because my mum washed my jeans and the tickets are in my pocket. And I'm looking at them now and they're all in tatters. And I was like, what? No, because I was obsessed. Well, still am obsessed with the Deftones. But
that's not a true story.
And so
is that going to be the spoiler?
So I phoned at the venue and I was like, look, here's the order number for the tickets. Can I get replacement tickets or whatever? And
yeah.
No, you can't do that. I mean, luckily in this day and age, we've got printable tickets that you get sent to your email, so you're covered on that front. But so I was like, phoning him and said, "Well, I want my money back." And he goes, "Well, I can't do it. I haven't got the money at the moment." Blah 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 blah. And so I was like, "This just smells like bullshit."
Yeah.
So when I knew he was at college, I phoned up his house and his mum answered, and I was like, "You didn't by any chance wash some of Russ's jeans with Deftones tickets in it?" And she goes, "No, I'm cleaning his room now, and there I can see them on his pinboard." And I was like, "You motherfucker!" And so
he spoke to his mom.
Yeah. So, and then he phoned me back. Obviously, when he finished college, he's like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, but there's this girl I really like at college, and I promised her she could have the ticket." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's my ticket, you dickhead. I paid for it."
But then to refuse to give you money.
And then he was like, "Yeah, so we'll go and I'll meet you." Then I was like, "You fuck it." So I went to school with the other band members of the band. We were called Chump State, really bad band. And so I was like, Isaac was the drummer, and I was like, "Ike, do you want to get your?" Because Russ had been a bit of a dickhead, and that's why we kicked him out of the band. And I was like, "Do you want to get your own back on, Russ? I've got a story to tell you." So I told him the story I've just told you, and he's like, "Where are you meeting them?" And I said, "Well, I haven't decided where we're going to meet yet." And he goes, "Meet him outside McDonald's in Sutton Coldfield, and me and Sean will stand up on the parking lot above it because you've got a good vantage point up there, and we're going to egg him." So I don't know if you remember this, but your mum and dad parked on the opposite side of McDonald's. Me and you met Russ, but we stayed a good distance away from him. And then
I don't remember this at all.
He got pelted with eggs. And I forgot that Russ is quite a big guy, and he was wearing a leather trench coat, like down to his ankles, and we had to sit in a tiny. What does your mum have, like a Golf?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and we had to sit in this car with him in the middle, just stinking of raw eggs the whole way through there.
I don't remember this at all, in the slightest. Oh my god, that's so weird.
What happened? Russ goes, "Oh, I just got pelted."